Good evening. The time being 6 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the Monday, August 24th, 2015 meeting of the Oxford School Committee. Welcome, everyone. Looking at our agenda, we do not have any presentations and awards and no student representatives, so we will move on to our recommended action. If it pleases the committee, I'd like to take out of order the school committee governance and operations item on the agenda. I know over the past year, several years, our policy handbook has been a work in progress. I know in the time that I've been on the committee, I was not fully aware of our policies that we had within the committee in terms of our own governance. So I ask that those policies be distributed to the committee. These are existing policies. This is meant to benefit both the committee and members of the community. I'm just going to go briefly through these policies, and if any of the and make some comments, and then we will see if any school committee members have any comments regarding these. The first policy is the school committee member authority, and this is really for the benefit of the public. I just wanted to read this excerpt to you. Because all powers of the school committee derived from state laws are granted in terms of action as a group, members of the school committee have authority only when acting as a committee legally in session. The school committee will not be bound in any way by any statement or action on the part of an individual member except when such statement or action is a result of specific instruction of the committee. No member of the committee, by virtue of his office, will exercise any administrative responsibility with respect to the schools or command the services of any school employee. The school committee will function as a body, and all policy decisions and other matters as required by law will be settled by an official vote of the committee sitting in formal session. So it's really just a benefit for those of you watching at home to understand that as individual members, we really have no authority or responsibility. It's us acting collectively as a group. I received the school committee member attendance at meetings policy that note here that this policy needs to be created. So I'd like to ask the policy subcommittee to please add that to your list. Next is in regards to subcommittees of the school committee. We currently have several subcommittees. Some of those have not met in a while or are inactive, and I would like to, I'll be placing an item on a future agenda to review the standing subcommittees. I don't think we've done that in quite some time. We also have a policy with regards to our school councils, and won't get into detail on that, but those councils do meet regularly. We have a policy governing our executive sessions. Under Massachusetts open meeting law, there are limited reasons in which we can meet in executive session. We also have an agenda format, and this agenda, I would like to ask that this agenda format policy be added to the policy reviews. I notice that it is a little bit outdated. With regards to the agenda format, specifically, we have public comment in section J, and that is not in this version of the sample agenda, so I'd like to see us update that. I also had reached out to some members of the Mass Association of School Committees because unlike tonight, we normally don't have much attendance at these meetings, and I'm looking for some ideas to get parents and community members involved and actually come to our meetings, other than when there's bad news. So one idea or thought that I had was to periodically add an agenda item in which an administrator or teacher presents an academic topic, and then we have a brief presentation from a student or group of students to demonstrate that academic topic. We would want to make sure that the purpose of the presentation would be to inform the committee about how the district is achieving its goals and not necessarily just showcasing student achievement. I did hear back from one member of the Mass Association of School Committees, and they do something similar in their district. And so if it pleases the committee, I'd like to see us maybe perhaps add that into our agenda rotation. And maybe that's something that we can look at when that agenda format policy is looked at. For our rules of order, nothing to state here other than that the committee uses Robert's Rules of Order for conducting our meetings. For public participation at school committee meetings, we do have an item on our agenda concerning public participation. We do allow people to speak. I have been guilty of this just probably the worst, but that time is really for the committee to hear from members of the community that want to come up and give us some input. That is not a question and answer session, and going forward, the committee will hear your concerns and possibly get back to you at a later date, but we really shouldn't be engaging in a question and answer session. Items that take place during the public participation, we need to ensure that they don't violate any student's confidentiality. It's not a time or place to air grievances about specific staff members. It's really for members of the community to share with us. We're certainly open to taking criticism, but we can't have it be a back and forth. So that is something that we will be looking to enforce going forward. Additionally, all remarks during that public participation period per our policy item number 4 will be addressed through the chairperson of the meeting. So I'll try to limit any discussion that doesn't fall within the criteria. We also have a policy revision, deletions, exceptions, and/or additions policy, which basically gives us the authority to make changes to policies as needed, and it's pretty self-explanatory. We have a policy on school committee staff communications, and basically the superintendent is our intermediary. School committee members don't typically communicate directly with staff, and vice versa. There is some exceptions in there for staff airing grievances, but obviously we have a policy for communications between members and the superintendent. I'd also like to ask that this be one that's added to the list of policies to review. The last time it was approved was in 2009, and I think it may be beneficial to take a look at that and see if it warrants any updates, and I'm sure Dr. Garceau would have some input on that as well. And then we have our new school committee member orientation, which is really as part of a legal reference. School committee members are required under Mass General laws to attend a orientation. So those are our really our operating protocols as a committee, and I just wanted to again have them printed out, shared with the committee and with the community. Do any members of the community have of the committee rather have any questions or comments regarding this? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to our next agenda item. Approval of minutes from the regular meeting of August 10th, 2015. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Abstain.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Let the record show that the minutes passed with 3 in the affirmative and 2 abstentions. The next item on our agenda, we will move to unfinished business, and we have the Oxford High School Handbook. I'd like to invite Mr. Tebow up, and I don't know, do you have any comments to preface us with, Dr. Garceau?
No, only that this is a little later in coming than we would normally like, but there was, with Mr. Connery coming on, there was a request made that we grant an extension, And then Mr. Coonan had some concerns and had the opportunity to meet directly with Mr. Tebow the other day, and hopefully those have been addressed. So I think we're in a position to move forward with the handbook.
Thank you, and I apologize. Your name wasn't on the agenda, but Mr. Connery is joining us as well. Gentlemen, can I have one of those?
So I provided a copy of just a couple of minor changes after meeting with Mr. Coonan that were made for the makeup policy. Sorry you didn't get a color copy, but B is highlighted because that's the change in there. It previously read that students would have to wait 3 days before they could request makeup work. And Mr. Coonan raised a concern, and I agree with him. We're pushing our students to take the most rigorous coursework possible, and so it just doesn't make sense to ask them to wait 3 days before they can get makeup work. Students who are taking AP or honors classes, waiting 3 days can set them kind of behind the 8 ball. So we didn't want that to happen. So we changed B. So it says requests for academic assignments missed due to excused absences may be made to the guidance counselor or directly to the teacher. Requests for academic assignments will be honored as soon as possible, but no later than 1 school day. Assignments for students going on vacation will be given at the discretion of the teacher. And that last sentence was not a change. That's what the previous policy was with regards to vacation. And then the second change was really just around dropping the word free and replacing it with appropriate in the first sentence. So the primary responsibility of the school and its staff is to ensure that all students receive the appropriate public education to which they are entitled. And those were the 2 changes that the rest of the committee would not have seen because they were only made on the 19th. So.
Thank you, Mr. Tebow and Mr. Connery. At this time, I don't know if any members have any questions for either of these gentlemen. I know Mr. Coonan met with them, Mr. Spitz in particular, since you weren't at the last meeting. I didn't know if you had any questions about the handbook.
No, I'm good, thank you. I think you guys did a great job with it this year. We just have to follow it, though. That's kind of what we need to do.
Thank you. Any other committee members? Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Mr. Patar. And I do appreciate the committees last week and Mr. Tebow holding this for giving the opportunity. We met for quite a while last week to really go through and to analyze this document. This document, as all committees members know or will know, is that when it's followed as Mr. Tebow's intent, and that's part of the meeting, the intent to follow this with the Constitution of the school, is that we're going to get phone calls. There's going to be people that upset, and that as committee members, it's important that to understand and digest before we sign this document that we fundamentally agree with this. And I did have a couple things that he did bring up with it just didn't make sense. And I do understand it is a work in progress. There was a lot of, Mr. Tebow, you said too, we've got to send it out. It's going to be something that, as a change in culture of the school, you have more and more faces coming in. You had administrative, congratulations, Mr. Connery, welcome to Oxford. Is that it's always work, and that's why we do this in June. So as the year is going out, you're looking at it now, and you're saying for the course of the school year, this is where we're going in our next direction. There are some really good pieces on that. We talk about the restorative justice. You talk about the banding of level 1, 2s, and 3s. In the piece that I like about it is the whole de-escalation. You go from 1 to 2. Well, let's get us back to this level, and just the whole changing in behavior. And I do really appreciate that. I know our parents out there will, where sometimes you see a lot of suspensions that start out at a very minimal, a minimal offense, and it gets escalated. That this piece here we can tone everyone down, get it back on the same page, and keep our children in school where they should be. So thank you, and thank you for the hard work on that.
Thank you, Mr. Spitz.
Just to tag on to something that I just thought of, one of my contentions each year is excessive absences with students and still meeting graduation requirements. If we're following the handbook, that shouldn't be the case anymore. Is that correct?
So I'm going to be careful how I answer you, because if you look at the policy, it's, I believe, 18, and on the 19th unexcused absence, the student may be subject to losing credit. I stress the may, because it doesn't say will lose credit, it says may. And each case really is looked at on a case-by-case basis. Many of our students come to us with social emotional issues. They have, they're involved with outside agencies who provide services to either themselves or the family or direct, So if you're talking in terms of truancy, a student who's just not coming to school and there's no reason for it, those are the students who will have, credits withheld. But if we're looking in terms of, just a magic number, it's deeper than that. We got to look at it case by case, and kind of peel away the story and see why are they missing school. And again, that's not work that's done when number 19, hits. That's work that's ongoing as soon as there's a pattern of absenteeism that develops.
Thank you.
Thank you. If no other members have any comments, at this time I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Oxford High School handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let the record show it pass unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on our agenda is the trial consolidation of the Oxford Public Schools and Town of Oxford business management functions. I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Garceau.
Thank you, Chairman Batar. As the committee and the community is probably aware, with the departure of Mr. Matthew, we entered into a trial arrangement with the town utilizing the services of Donna Folio, the town accountant, who's been serving on an emergency basis as our business manager as well. Donna's been doing an outstanding job since she joined us. And the MOA, I should say, before you tonight, just memorializes that arrangement, indicates that we are using Donna's services, and that her time is spent, 50% of her time, basically between the towns and the schools. It also details that we are being assessed by the town for the sum of $8,000 per year, prorated as necessary, and outlines the expectations for the position, making clear that the manager does not supervise the director of maintenance or food services, that she assists in budget preparation, only to the extent requested by the superintendent, that she will not be involved in grievances except with respect to financial matters affected by the grievance, and she will not be required to attend school committee meetings except when requested by the superintendent or the school committee chair. I can say since coming into the position in, I guess it was March, Donna has been in literally every school committee meeting, and she's put in countless hours helping right the ship over at Maple Road. So again, this MOA just memorializes this arrangement, and I forward it for your consideration.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this, Mr. Spitz?
Just a couple of thoughts. First of all, I want to thank Donna Folio for her hard work. You've really been instrumental in us uncovering pretty much what we've done. And I know you've given us countless hours, so my statement, I don't want you to take it the wrong way with my statement. I just think at some point, we do need to get back to a business manager type thing, because I think we put a lot on the superintendent by doing it this way. I think we're saving the town money, and that's great for this year. I think that we definitely should do that, and she's proven to be a true asset to the school department. But at the same time, I really feel that we've added so much to his plate that something's going to fail somewhere along the line, and I don't want to see him fail in the slightest. So, I'm totally for this, and I, again, want to thank you publicly for all the work you've done for us. You've really done a fantastic job. But I do hope that there's an end in sight to this as we go along.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis.
On this MOA, there is a statement down at the bottom that says it will go to town meeting for approval under Mass General laws. Would that be October town meeting or May?
May. It has to be at the annual town meeting, per the law.
And on the flip side of, I see it annual, thank you. On the other side of that, I too, Donna, think that you've done a great job. I mean, you have answered our questions. You have obviously uncovered some things that we weren't aware of. So in saying that I think is a great thing. But we have our own budget to run. The school department in this district does not answer to the town, just as they don't answer to us. We don't look at what they're doing when it comes to police, fire, library, whatever it may be, town hall. I think that we need to get back to having a business manager that represents this school district 100%, not 50%. I think Donna has her responsibilities at the town hall as the finance director. Those responsibilities alone are great. So I would say that the MOA, and I've looked into this too, there's very few, if any, that are sharing this kind of resource. So it's a very, very touchy line here, I think. And I think we had discussion that we were thinking of putting a search out. I thought it was sometime October, maybe it was, or something like that. And I think that we should follow through with that. We should continue with that opportunity to have a search.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I do want to thank Ms. Folio for her outstanding work. And part of that has brought financial and accounting stability to that office, is that structures or parameters were put in place, and now they're being followed. Is that we have a pretty clear now, and not a great picture, of where we stand financially. I do thank you for putting our books in order. And yes, it is opening up to the town, but I believe that at this stage, we really need that. We need the town getting the fresh set of eyes and to bring stability. Over the course of Dr. Garceau's first year, there's been a tremendous change in turnover. I do want to see him have his own cabinet, to bring in a true assistant deputy superintendent for curriculum, for business matters, for a sounding board for himself, too, is that he's very, very, very highly intelligent, and second-year superintendent comes with a lot of experience to be able to move the district forward. And I think all the principals are in the room, and that's part of, I'm sure he's told you, your task this year, too, is to pick up the pieces where we're taking a tremendous hit on our budget, and to try and work with the town, and to keep class size at the absolute lowest that we can, the per pupil ratio, is that the principals, again, are going to have to really, as that sounding board in progressing education, as Dr. Garceau and every principal in this room has done last year. So I congratulate everyone. I wasn't here for when the school improvement plans come out, but they're outstanding. What a marked improvement that we saw in instruction, and now we're seeing in accountability under Dr. Garceau's leadership. And again, let's keep it rolling through next year. So thank you, and thank you, Donna, for bringing that stability to us.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan. Mrs. Griffin?
I'd like to just kind of piggyback on everybody and say you're doing an amazing job. And I think it's, I can understand how people want to look at having a different assistant superintendent or person to come in and, assist, but I really don't think it's needed right now. I think we need to be wise with the money that we put out. We have a really good thing happening right now with your assistants. We're getting to the bottom of things. I think it's intelligent for our superintendent to really have his hands in our budget, and he certainly does, and he knows what's happening. In the past, I don't really know if that was the case, that our superintendent before Dr. Garceau really was invested in what was going on, and the wool was pulled over our eyes. And I think that by having the arrangement that we have here, it's a little harder to have things like that happen. So that's just basically my opinion. I think you're doing a wonderful job by us right now, and I appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Griffin, and I'd like to add a few remarks of my own. I'd like to echo what every other committee member has said at this point and thank Donna for your hard work and dedication. So that the community is aware, we essentially took two positions that, although on paper were 40-hour positions, in practice, each of them put in much more than 40 hours a week. And it's not sustainable in the long term, I don't believe, to continue this long term. However, right now, you filled an incredible need, and I don't necessarily know what the future end date of this is. I don't foresee it happening in this fiscal year because, quite frankly, I will never vote to add another, to have our own business manager in this current fiscal year, because that would mean putting either teachers, aides, custodians, or kitchen staff, or somebody else out on the street, unless, through the grace of God, a pile of money lands at 4 Maple, and I don't think that's going to happen. So, I'm in favor of this. I thank you for your hard work. I will point out to the committee that last time we actually reviewed this agreement, there were some slight changes. So we did add in with regards to seeking and maintaining licensure with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and then also the law that Mrs. Ennis referred to, and it is per Massachusetts general laws, this can be terminated at any time by either the school committee or town meeting. So just so that everyone is aware that it's not a permanent, it's not necessarily permanent, and it can be changed at any time. The last line of this, just so that everyone is aware, and I believe that this came from the town manager's office in the original iteration of this document, is that the town of Oxford and the Oxford School Committee further agree to explore other consolidations and sharing, including but not limited to management information systems, payroll, purchasing agent, internships, and the like. And I think that anything that we can do to explore efficiencies and cost savings certainly makes sense. And I don't know about the rest of the committee, but in most cases, I'd be willing to give things a try. So, we will likely be getting more of these MOAs in the future if there's other opportunities that arise, because if we can save some money on either side, that frees up other resources. We could potentially open another classroom, or introduce new programming, or hire back staff that have been laid off. So just so that everyone is aware of those things. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the town of Oxford and the Oxford School Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Let the record show that the MOA passes with 4 in the affirmative and 1 negative. Thank you. Or 1 no. Next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 2016 budget update. Dr. Garceau?
Thank you, Chairman Bitar. So, this has been a very challenging summer. It's been it was a challenging spring. It goes back to the winter. And in an effort to kind of bring everybody back up to speed and tell the story again. For a number of years, the funding formula for how the Oxford Public Schools has been funded included Chapter 78, which is based on per pupil allowances from the state. Chapter 70 plus required by law contributions from the town of Oxford, plus the unrestricted government monies, $1.8 million in UGA monies that we talked about at great length throughout the spring. In around January of this past year, it was learned that the town felt the need to pull back on those UGA funds, and I received an email late in January that we were not to count on those, and what it resulted in was suddenly we had $1.8 million less to work with than we had had in the past. Through negotiations with the town manager, the Board of Selectmen, multiple conversations with the school committee, by maybe May, we were able to get 1.5 of that 1.8 committed back to the schools. We had a $300,000 gap there, just in order to be level funded. And keep in mind, please, that level funding does not mean level services, because costs continue to go up. So if we get level funding, we're actually going backwards. And that case was made. 1.5 came back. We worked very, very hard through the spring. We worked with the OEA. We've worked with the custodians. We've worked with the clerical staff. We've worked with virtually everybody to close that gap. And as the kids left us in June, it appeared that we were on pretty good pace to, even though it was going to be a very tight and very lean and very austere school year this year, we were going to be okay. Not pretty, not what anybody necessarily wanted, but we were going to be okay. As the outgoing director of special education left, and as Donna G. Gregorio came on, our new special ed director, interim sped director, and as Ms. Folio at the same time was unraveling some of the accounting practices and the way that our budget was structured, those two events happening at the same time led us to understand in July that rather than being a pretty good shape, real tight budget, we actually had an $800,000 gap that needed to be closed, driven in large part by special ed costs, which on a good day is a moving target anyway, because people need to understand that if a student with significant special education needs moves into the district and we didn't know they were coming, that might necessitate a $100,000, $150,000 out-of-district placement that there was no way we could anticipate. That can happen. Some of that happened, but some of what happened also was we've got out-of-district placements that the committee wasn't being made aware of, and in some cases, I was not being made aware of. And so that moving target has moved to the point where we now have this we did have this $800,000 gap to close. It's illegal for us to function in a deficit. We have to balance our budget. So midsummer of 2015, we recognized that we had to close this gap, and we wanted to do it in a way that it was as least disruptive to the kids who show up next Monday. They're coming in next Monday, smiles, new lunch boxes, new backpacks, ready to learn. And that's our mission. That's what we're here for. So we had to scramble to get that done, because those kids are coming next Monday, and we can't wait. I can't wait for them to get here. But it made for some very stressful times. Myself, and I refer to them as the two Donnas, Donna Folio and Donna G. Gregorio, and the principals and the assistant principals, and Mr. Pitar. We've had multiple emergency meetings to try and figure out how we were going to close this gap before those smiling faces show up next Monday. And what we're presenting to you tonight is a balanced budget, a budget that we're required to present by law, that the school committee has the authority to review and approve. And again, $800,000 resulted in cuts. It resulted in cuts to clerical staff, to custodial staff, roughly 10 teaching positions, 2 central administrators. We've eliminated the director of curriculum's position straight out. Transportation has seen cuts. There isn't really a level of the organization. The Oxford Public Schools is not being affected here. There's not a classification of employee that hasn't had to contribute to the closing of this gap. And as difficult as it is, and as painful as it may be for some people, I can say with all sincerity, I'm extremely proud to lead this district, and I'm extremely proud of the people who have all stepped up to close this gap. We're going to do it, and the kids are going to be here, like I said, next week. And we will go into, with the committee's approval, we will go into September with a balanced budget that has affected some class sizes, has affected some services that are going to be provided, but we are committed to making the Oxford Public Schools the best district it can possibly be. And last year saw great gains. Those gains are going to continue, and I'm relentlessly optimistic that we're going to have an outstanding year this year. So with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Folio up to discuss any questions that the committee may have regarding the budget, or I'd be happy to help with that as well.
Did you have any remarks you wanted to make about this before the committee
The
delves
only
in?
one that I was thinking of is the class sizes. That has been a big question. I was going through them, just want to make sure everyone in the public knows, when we were talking about increases, where that ended up. Kindergarten, 6 classrooms, you're going to end up 20 to 23 students per class. Grade 1, 6 classes, 22 to 24 area. Grade 2, 5 classes, 24 to 27. Grade 3, 6 classes, 25 to 26. Grade 4, 6 classes, 25 to 27. So the original comment I got from the reporters last week saying they heard 32 to 35, that was not true. They were all in the 20s.
Thank you, Donna.
I said, I think they got us confused with Webster.
Since you brought up the class size report, the committee has before it a class size report that shows what we anticipate the class sizes would have been with our original budget that we passed at our public hearing, what the class sizes looked like after we had to make the first wave of cuts when our budget did not pass at town meeting, and then what this class sizes will look like at the second wave of cuts. I thought it was beneficial or helpful for the committee to also have some class size statistics, including average, median, min, and max. So I hope that this format is agreeable to the committee. If you have any comments regarding the format, we can certainly revisit it, but I thought that the statistics were helpful, and I'm very happy to see that there's no class sizes in the 30s, because that literally was making me sick to my stomach. But I'll open it up to committee members with questions regarding the budget. Mr. Spitz.
Just a question on class size. It's not really a question, it's a statement. I'm actually very impressed with the job you guys did, because I was having visions going into the 30s as well. So, I mean, this is not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. I think everyone knows that I'm a big one on class size. I really have always been thinking that's a driver for our education. But this, at least, I could accept this. You know, it really, I think you guys did an outstanding job keeping him to the levels that we did. So I just really wanted to make the statement of thanking you for managing these accounts the way that they should have been, so that our class size is at least doable this year. So thank you.
Mrs. Griffin?
In regards to class size, you know, I look at second grade with one class in particular being 28, and this paper doesn't really disclose to me if there's aides in class sizes at any range. So I'm kind of curious what the student-teacher ratio would be, if there would be another, you know, assistant in the room, if there was an extra large class or not.
We are in the position where any of our decisions, ultimately all of our decisions are made based on what's in the best interest of students.
Mm-hmm.
But from a financial aspect, we're in the position where we have to make our decisions based on law, regulation, and contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the law prescribes when we have special education students in a classroom, when a TA is assigned to that room. And it's really only in those instances where we intend to have aides in those classrooms, due to special ed numbers.
Okay.
Where we can provide additional supports, we certainly will, but again, we've had to pull back to balance this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan.
Thank you. Just a clarification on that, Dr. Gar. So, were any of the positions affected, including the inclusion-type teachers that worked with special education? So are we still in 100% compliance with SPED laws?
In all honesty, we're going to be in better compliance than we had been. A lot of what's driven this gap are decisions that were made previously that put us in non-compliance. And so through some creative reassignment of staff and putting people in the best places where they could be successful, Ms. G. Gregorio assures us that we're going to be in compliance, that we're going to be meeting these kids' needs at a higher level, and we're going to be looking to build those programs back in district that will allow us to provide supports to kids, the supports that they need to be successful here, rather than send them out of district. So we will be in compliance and building those programs.
And specifically, Dr. Garceau, I think, I know back in my mind is how we were not told the 100% truth of what was going on inside the Oxford Middle School with special education, when it was kind of a hit or miss thing. And that's, I think you're referring to that, with that inclusion-type model that was never put in place.
That's part of the solution. We need to be whether we call it co-teaching or inclusion or whatever we term it, we need to be as inclusive as we possibly can, and meet the needs of the special learners, again, in the least restrictive environment. And in a lot of instances, that's in the regular ed classroom with additional supports, whether it's through a consultancy model or having an aide in the classroom if the numbers warrant that, or through an out-of-district placement, if that's in fact the least restrictive environment for that youngster's needs. But those out-of-district placements have really been the driver in a lot of this issue here, and in all honesty, closing this gap, a lot of it is coming from special ed. It's from that special ed department, and rethinking how we provide services that's helped us close this $800,000 gap, in addition to the custodial and the TAs and the clerical and the teachers and everyone else.
Mrs. Griffin, did you have a comment?
I appreciate all the hard work that's going into this. I'm curious still to understand the relationship of like support staff in these classes. I don't know if the committee can receive that information to understand how many aides have been kind of cut back and from each classroom or not. I see how many classrooms are assigned, obviously, with teachers. But for me to kind of gain perspective of the impact of the cuts here, besides seeing it in the budget itself, seeing it on paper next to teachers and what they lost, I think would drive it home to me more what a significant kind of cuts were made here.
Well, where we really have to start, Ms. Griffin, respectfully, is not what's being cut, but what's required. We're in such dire straits that we have to pull back again to what's required by law, regulation, and contract to be in place. And to discuss personnel matters with names of people and everything would
No
be
names.
inappropriate.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I had to meet with the bargaining units for both the aides and the custodians this morning, and 10 layoff notices to teacher assistants were issued this morning, and 4 layoff notices to custodial staff are going to be issued today as well. So again, every group is sharing in, frankly, unfairly closing this gap that they didn't create. They didn't create this issue. I can say as a first-year superintendent, I didn't create this issue either. I don't own it, nor does Donna Folio or Donna G. Gregorio. But collectively, we're going to solve it. All of us have to put our shoulders to the grindstone and sort this out. And the work that the principals have done throughout the summer to help us close these gaps and identify what's really based on student need, and the work that the 2 Donnas have done have put us where we are. Students' needs are going to be met, and they're going to be met in a way that's fiscally responsible.
All I
Mr.
really want to ensure is that our kids get what they really need here, and it does concern me, because I feel like we were already kind of told that we couldn't kind of make any more cuts, things were so tight, and now we've made such drastic cuts that it's hard for me to digest that we're really, not going to overwork and tax our teachers. I'm very concerned about our teachers. I don't want them to burn out. I want our kids to be in the best position that they can be for a good year. I know that you're doing everything you can to support them in that central office, and I appreciate it. I know that this is a great staff that's going to work together and band together, but I'm interested in hearing about a future plan to get us kind of back up to speed, to get things on par. I mean, I know we don't have the money right now. I understand that. I kind of want to see the vision for how do we rebuild our district now, and hear about that forthcoming in future meetings. And
I could answer a little bit of
Yeah.
the change that might answer some of your question. A lot of the aides, and I don't look at the name, I'm looking at the counts, a lot of them came from Title I.
okay,
We have restructured the way Title I is going to be delivered for service, so instead of being delivered by TAs, it's going to be delivered by teachers. So there will be a Title I teacher at each one of the Chafee, Barton, and middle school. And instead of being done in an impact block, it's going to be done as a push-in. Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Push-in model. So that has totally changed your concept of, we were able to save teachers and put them to work in a very important area. And it does cut back on your TAs, because that's where a lot of the TAs were working out of Title I. There were no, and to my understanding, there was no other, there might have been a kindergarten TA that was regular day. All of the other TAs are sped-related, either an 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 for an IA, or a TA for a sped.
Thank you. There was one part of your statement that I just want to address, and then we'll get to Mr. Spitz. In terms of where we want to go and the vision going forward, that's really going to be the duty of this committee going forward with Dr. Garceau in formulating our budget for the next year and the years to come. And we've said it in the past, but, we're not going to get there with this, with this budget that we currently have, and that, there's a strong likelihood that we're going to be looking to the community for support of an override. And I don't like the idea of it as much as the next person, but the pot is only so big, and there's a lot of needs within this community. So, respectfully to your comments about where we go and the vision, I think that's something we're going to formulate together with Dr. Garceau. So, Mr. Spitz?
One of the words of encouragement that Dr. Garceau just gave me is that we are working diligently on our special ed budget to incorporate the services that are needed for our own children in Oxford to be done in Oxford. And to me, I can't even tell you how thankful I am for that, because one of the biggest things for me is if I was a parent of a special ed child and I had to send my child out to another town to be serviced, that would bother me. I can't even tell you how much that would bother me, to think of my child having to be sent to another town for services in the town that I live in. So to me, I think revamping our special ed to meet the needs of our own internal students is going to, number one, save us a ton of money, and it's also going to make these parents feel better about where their children are actually being schooled. So I think that is something we should hang our hat on. You should hang your hat on, that's a big deal to me. It's a really big deal. And I think looking for these little positives within this budget is really what we need to do. And I think that's a big one to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spitz. And my only caution I have from my perspective as one committee member is I think that it's wonderful to build these programs and have dynamic programs in place for special ed students. but we can't live under the assumption that we will be able to service every single special ed student in district. And there are, I just want to make sure that everyone's aware. Obviously, there are circumstances in which out-of-district placements are appropriate, and although costly, they may be, at times those make sense. As a parent, if I would obviously want my child to be serviced in district, if possible, to avoid them from having to be bussed out of, further away or whatnot, but only if Oxford had the services and that really met my child's needs. So, I want to stress to everyone that we're not looking to completely take everyone who's currently out of district and place them back, but we're looking to build a strong special ed department that can service more, and I just want to have that assurance out there that we're not. The goal here isn't to say that there's never an instance where special ed out-of-district placements are warranted. The other thing I think that the article that went in the paper did was, it made some people feel like they were, it made some of the people who have children in special ed services feel as though blame was being placed on them. Like we were saying, it's their fault. And we don't, I can't speak for the whole committee, but we don't feel that way. And I was contacted by a few people that were concerned that people in the community would feel negativity or animosity towards parents or special ed families. So everyone is entitled to a free and appropriate education, and nobody should feel negativity towards the families that require additional services. We're here to make sure that all of our students get that. So,
Could I just tag on to that, and then I'll get to you, Ms. Dennis, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I just wanted to clarify my statement as well, is that, I'm not thinking that we can service every student in Oxford, and I don't think anybody out there does feel that way. But I think our answer over the last couple of years was cut the service and ship them to other towns. And I think that's where we became a town not known for servicing our students in that respect. And that was really my point. And I see a light going in the opposite direction, and I wanted that light to be shown to the town, that we are addressing that.
thank you. And for my clarification, I wasn't insinuating that what you were saying. I just wanted to make it clear, because obviously this did prompt several, phone calls and emails and messages. So, Mrs. Ennis?
I think we're seeing the impact of the loss of our Duke program also. That was a poor decision to remove Duke from Chafee School. So in that, we're seeing this special ed deficit. I would never blame a parent, because a parent, as far as special ed needs go, has to be the advocate. But on top of having to have an advocate, you have to have a director that knows what they're doing and understands what is surrounded by the care for that student. A couple of things, Mr. Chairman, I'd like our superintendent to maybe discuss as we move on for our next budget. There are some items in the school committee line items that we barely use. Our transportation reimbursement, not everyone goes to the conferences. I think we should really take a hard look at our own budget and reduce some of those costs. The other thing is that we've talked about a few times, we are the only town department who pays rent. And the rent now has gone up to $39,600 for the building, for the top floor of that building. I think it's time to renegotiate that. I think we have to take a look at, we've lost the UGA funds, we're still paying rent, that's a new teacher, plus, and if we don't start re-looking at some of these contracts that we have, these prices are just going to keep increasing. I'm not quite sure why we rent the building. I know it was, one of the factors was to keep the heat on. Well, I got a feeling there's probably programs out there that we can look at to keep the heat on in that building. But $39,000 is a lot of money, and no one else pays. All the other town buildings, no one else pays rent but the school department. So I would like the superintendent maybe to have discussion with the town manager in regard to that, and if we could recalculate or look at that contract again. A lot of this $800,000, it just keeps going around in my head. I think with the significant loss of 1.8 million of UGA funds, we've been slammed. And I know that there are other issues behind that, but when you lose 1.8 million without discussion, without anybody saying to us, look, this is what we're thinking of doing, we just get an email that says, you're not going to get UGA this year, so here we go. Sorry. I have to say that some of that loss impacted, and these corrections that are being made, all well and good, but you can't keep losing money and giving out more than you have. So I think that there's a lot of us that need to sit down and probably put our heads together. And I'm saying with parents, teachers, there's quite a few here tonight, to get involved and help us fix this mess, because if we don't, the only one that gets hurt are the kids, when it's bottom line. So I hope that superintendent can maybe take a look at a few of these things, but one of them really, we should look at our own school committee budget, because we don't use a lot of that money for specific items. And that's all I have on that.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. I'd like to make a couple of points, just clarification, and I know Mrs. Ennis knows this, but I just want to make sure that everyone does, that we were originally informed that we were not getting any of the UGA money, but as Dr. Garceau said earlier, we did get 1.5 of the 1.8 million. So that being said, the budget that was approved at our public hearing was approximately 16.5 million, and what was appropriated at town meeting was a 15.2. And just to put that in perspective, our FY15 budget was 15.4. So having to decrease our budget from last fiscal year, on top of what Dr. Garceau mentioned in terms of costs go up. So that was really the reason for the first wave of cuts. The second comment that I'd like to make is that I too am really disturbed with the rent situation at Maple, and I've asked Dr. Garceau to look into possibly vacating for Maple. We have sufficient room in several of our buildings now, and I'm not sure that we need to be in that building. If they need our $39,000 so much to keep the heat on, then let them rent it out to someone else so that we could bring back a teacher or an aide or a custodian or whoever the case may be. Obviously, Dr. Garceau has had a lot on his plate over the several months. I don't see us, shutting the doors on 4 Maple tomorrow, but it is something that I asked him to look into.
I believe that it was for, a big portion of it is for the debt payment for the renovation and the elevator that was put in.
Thank you.
That was the long-term arrangement, the long-term agreement was that's how much it was needed to pay the debt. Actually, $50,000 a year is what's needed to pay that debt payment.
Use the stairs.
Do any members of the committee have any questions regarding this budget? Mrs. Griffin?
Personally, I'd like us to get together again and have another budget workshop where we sit down and we look through things like Mrs. Ennis is requesting and kind of come together, because I have some thoughts too on certain things that I personally would like to take out of here if I had my 2 cents. I don't know if that's something that we could do and kind of look at trying to get back some more aides or something creative, because if I was going to vote on this tonight, I'm not comfortable because there are certain things in here that to me, I think we could do without, but maybe I'm mistaken. So if there was clarification around that, I would appreciate that.
I'd like to ask Dr. Garceau, in terms of the timeliness of this, if this is something that we could postpone, or if you feel,
In all honesty, my feeling is that it's 2 months late. It should have been balanced for July 1.
And I
We're in
understand,
an emergency situation, and frankly, the superintendent bears the responsibility for constructing and presenting the budget. The school committee's responsibility is to review and vote it up or vote it down. And if it were to be voted down tonight and you said, well, go back to the drawing board,
Can't.
I can assure you I'm going to bring you virtually the same budget in 2 weeks, and we're going to be in the same situation. So I have every intention of continuing to look for savings, continuing to look for additional revenue sources so that we can bring back teachers and aides and custodians and all of that. But when we're talking about conference funds for the school committee and some other things, they're really such small items that they're not going to have an impact on staffing at this point. The work on the 17 budget starts basically tomorrow. And I'd be happy to have as many workshops as early as you'd like, so that we do this better going forward.
thank you, Dr. Garceau. Mrs. Ennis?
That's what I was referencing when we start our next budget. I think Mr. Spitz will remember an evening where we sat with all of our administrators, our school committee. I don't know who else was here. We were here for hours, and we went through every line of this budget. And we saved 100 here, 50 there. I think it came to around 7,000, in that 7 or 10,000 range. But we sat here for hours going through and picking and asking administrators, do you really need to have this? So it can happen, it has happened in the past. It's a very tedious task, but it's our responsibility to do so. So, and my suggestions were for the upcoming budget. You're right in the date, we are very late, and we have to do something on this evening. And that's all I have.
Mr. Spitz?
I just wanted to concur with that. I mean, this has to happen tonight. It really does. And I think what we need to do is to do exactly what you're saying, but do it for the next budget and start tomorrow if we can. I don't think you can put this off anymore. We're 2 months late, and legally, we have to have this in. And we have to hit the number that we're looking for, and as far as for a fiscal responsible budget. And this one, like it or not, and I don't like it in the slightest, but it's pretty much there.
Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Ms. Pitar. This is really the dirty side of municipal finance, is that we can't operate in a deficit. Is that, and what's really shocking is you look at our budget, and then you look at one of our competitive schools that pulls money out of our budget, and they have advertisements on TV and billboards to bring kids to their school. Here we are trying to textbooks, and they have ads on TV. They sponsor the Friday Night Football Frenzy. I don't know what that costs, but if someone's really from the state, is going to take a long look at where this money's going and the priorities. And I like a letter sent out to our representatives, which to this date, Representative McKenna has not appeared in front of this board, as he promised he would. He signs off $125,000 to de-weed Webster Lake. Well, if you and I want to show up at Webster Lake, we still pay $25 to go there, or something like that, whatever it is. Where are the priorities for education? And again, Ms. Griffin's so correct. Yeah, we couldn't go through this. Dr. Garceau has that dirty side of the business about it, that we do have to give direction, yay or nay, so we can open up schools with a balanced budget. But I thought last winter, we had great conversation about the budget workshop, and really got a true picture of what's inside the schools and how our schools run, and the great job the administrators do with that. So I definitely am in favor for that going forward with this. But tonight, yeah, I'll be voting in favor of this budget.
Mr. Coonan, I don't know, regarding the letter that you mentioned, is that
Yeah.
something that you'd be willing to draft and we can add to a future agenda, or would you like Do you have something in terms that you would like it to say?
Put a letter to say, I'd like to have Representative McKenna in here. He promised, I think, day after they was sworn in, he goes, I want to be in front of here, and he stiffed us one night, he didn't show up, and then he never came back.
See,
He never,
you should have elected me.
I'll,
well, yeah, I'd like to see him come in. He really, he commented he's all for schools, and that he wanted to be a part of the schools. His secretary called me, and it took us months to get a date, and they never showed up.
Darlene, if we could please reach out to our delegation, Representative McKenna, Senator Fatman, and,
All for us.
thank you, Representative Frost, sorry, my mind drew a blank there. We'd like to see if we can coordinate all three of them to be in attendance at a meeting. If they can't come together, then we'll take them separately.
Ask him to bring a check.
Yes.
A very
At least
large
for the Webster
check.
Lake Fund.
We'll take the
Did any other members of the committee have any comments prior to, yes, Mrs. Griffin?
I know it's probably known to the committee, but I haven't taken my stipend last year, and I'm not taking my stipend again this year, nor do I plan to take my stipend any of the years I'm on school committee. I want to see that money in particular go to teachers. And I know we were talking about setting up an ed foundation. I know the logistics behind it is tedious. I did speak to a few members of the community that have some background in getting that non-for-profit status, and there's certain people that have done it in other communities, and I know you've worked very hard too, Mr. Bitar, to get it off the ground, but if there's anybody tonight that can, assist our community in getting an Ed Foundation up off the ground, I want to see that happen. I'm putting my money forward to make sure that our teachers have some type of a mini grant for the next, 3 years that I'm around, and it will be 4 years total. That money should still be there, hopefully. I'd like to see our teachers get some more support for materials and whatnot, so thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the amended budget for the fiscal year 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Let the record show that the amended budget passes 4 in the affirmative, 1 opposed. Thank you, Donna, for your hard work in preparation of these numbers. Next item on the agenda is with regards to a legal opinion regarding possible misrepresentation of finances. As you will recall, if you were at the last meeting or saw it or perhaps read in the newspaper, that I was asked to contact our counsel with regards to if there was, if we have reason to believe that any former employee of the district willfully misrepresented the financial position of the district. I informed him that the transition audit is underway and we should have the preliminary results in 6 to 8 weeks. And I asked him for a preliminary opinion with regards to any legal recourse. The attorney's response was that he would be glad to take a look at the situation if and when the district has the information from its audit. At this point, all he can say is that if the district had clear evidence of an intentional misrepresentation of the district's financial position, and that as a direct result of the same, the district suffered some substantial monetary damages, there probably would be a legal remedy. And if such an employee were bonded, there might be recourse against the bond. However, to say more at this point would be pure speculation, conjecture, and surmise. So I wanted to provide the committee and the public with that update, and I can assure you that when we receive the transition audit, that there will be, I'm sure, more discussion about this. I would like to ask a question with regards to this to either Dr. Garceau, or if you need to refer it to Mrs. Folio, but since much of the issues regarding this current deficit were with numbers that were not correct in our special ed area, is the special ed department being audited at all with this transition audit? I'm getting a yes, okay. Obviously, that was not part of the Finance Committee's vote. It's not, the SPED director doesn't qualify for that transition audit, but you've asked to have it included?
What happens is they follow the trail of wherever they're seeing things. So even though SPED director was not one of the 4 people Finance Committee wants to have this transitional procedure done, they will, as they come across things, if they see it, they're going to go to that department. They'll probably speak with former employees, they may speak with committee members, just as they're trying to figure out and put all the pieces together. So it doesn't have to be specifically there.
And out of curiosity, who is paying the bill for this transaction audit?
I am, town side.
The municipal side, because
My
it's a
audit.
mandate of the
Yep.
Finance Committee? Okay. Well, we, I'm sure, look very much forward to receiving that transition audit. Any questions regarding the legal opinion or the transition audit? Mrs. Ennis?
Well, Mrs. Folio was here through you to Mrs. Folio. We had discussion on bonding. I'd be very interested to hear what either our legal or MASC feels about bonding our superintendent, our SPED director, anyone that's in administration that has a budget, principal, everybody. I don't know if it's done. I don't know how to go about it, but if we could find out, I don't even know if it's done in schools. I have no idea.
I believe your principals are bonded because
Okay.
of the student
Principals
activity.
and vice, or just principal only?
Well, if I may, I'd like to table that for a future agenda. Let's make sure that we get it on the next agenda and that we give Dr. Garceau and Mrs. Folio an opportunity to do research on that, because I'd be very much interested in knowing what our current practices are and if we should look into it. But, in fairness to them, I'd like to give them the opportunity to do some research on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
The next item on the agenda is review of our transportation policies. With school opening in a week, we thought it was wise to add this item to the agenda. I'm going to ask Dr. Garceau to give us an overview of where we stand for the transportation and if there's any discussion following that.
Okay, well, again, there was a transportation committee that was formed last year and worked through the year, a subcommittee that Mr. Bitar chaired, and as a result of some of the findings of that subcommittee, and also in an effort to bring our transportation costs in line, Ms. Ennis had presented the school committee policies. About a month and a half ago, they were voted upon by the school committee and are posted on our website. Durham Student Services has completed the bus routes, and those were posted, I believe, on Friday, as well as the walk boundaries that were voted on previously by the school committee, and those are in place. So now the secretarial staff, the clerical staff who knows our neighborhoods and our buildings and all of that probably better than anybody, worked with those lists, the bus lists and the routing last weekend, and they're going to be continuing that work tomorrow to just finalize it. But the buses, again, have been routed. Mr. Doobie, the transportation coordinator, has taken some calls with questions or concerns from parents. That has been in place. The drivers have driven the routes, as Ms. Ennis had requested, to look for any potential hazards or construction, and we should be good to go for school to start on Monday.
Thank you, Dr. Garceau. So I'd just like to add a couple of comments. Chairing that transportation subcommittee, I'd like to thank those committee members, and for those who took some time to read through these policies, not all of our recommendations were inserted into these policies, and a lot of that was largely due to the timing in which we needed to get these policies in place, and it really wasn't feasible to, we had talked about possibly instituting a transportation fee when we're not legally required to provide the transportation, and the logistics of all that, just we didn't have time. So I do anticipate likely reviving that committee and having some discussion. But I know that the phone calls and emails have already started coming in, regarding having students walk to the bus stops and, the walk boundaries. And I would encourage the community to follow the protocols, which is to complete a transportation concern form. You can certainly contact Mr. Doobie, Durham. If you do not have resolution with those channels, Dr. Garceau is the go-to guy. So I'm sure that people are reading those, and I heard rumblings that there were a couple mistakes, and it's bound to happen. We're all human, so please do your best to report those in and give the admin ample opportunity to get those corrected so that August 31st is a smooth day. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Mr. Patar. Just review that protocol, please, that if a student they're out there now and the phone call is going to come, and they don't see their name on a list or their stop on a list, where is their first call? To the school, to Mr. Doobie, to Durham? Where's it, when we get the call saying, hey, something's wrong with my route?
I'll defer that to Dr. Garceau.
Okay.
Actually, probably the most efficient way to handle that is to direct any emails to Mr. Doobie initially.
Mr. Doobie.
And Mr. Doobie will work with Durham to address those concerns, or frankly, with our own drivers. We're looking to see, too, if there's pressure being placed on routes or on families that we can address with our own drivers and our own vehicles. We want to make that part of the solution as well. So Rich Doobie is probably the best person to coordinate all those requests.
And Dr. Garceau, would I don't recall his email address being on that transportation page. I think that there's a form, the transportation concern form. Would that be the best way to reach Mr. Doobie?
Those actually go straight to Durham, but we did post his contact info on the front page of the website today.
Perfect.
I also posted it on the Oxford Public Schools Facebook page, but it's rdube@oxps.org is how you would reach Rich Doobie.
Thank you, Dr. Garceau.
Thank you, Mr. Patar. That really helped a lot.
Thank you. Any other committee members? Looking at the policies and reviewing them, the only thing I'm wondering if we could, just a bit of housekeeping, the very last policy, the motor vehicle idling on school grounds, as approved, the name of the district was omitted in 3 blanks. I'd like to entertain a motion to insert the word Oxford in those 3 blanks so that we can clean up the policy.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The record show that it passes affirmatively, and please update that, just add Oxford in that last page. Thank you. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking tonight. The next item on our agenda was at the request of Mrs. Griffin in regards to our legal and audit professional services. So at our last meeting, we talked a bit about our legal services. As a committee, our primary attorney that we use is Attorney Cosgrove of Cosgrove and Blatt. He is counsel to the committee. We were also made aware that our special ed department is utilizing another attorney, and there was also a question about our audits, that our audits are being done by firms that we're not familiar with. So I did put out a question to the Mass Association of School Committees, and just to get some clarification. And regarding the legal counsel, the school committee is responsible for legal counsel. They work for the committee, even though the largest part of their interaction is likely with administrators. It is good practice to periodically review your relationship with counsel. It is not unusual for the district to seek advice from more than one lawyer. Specialization, even within the world of education, lawyers often makes for better advice or decisions, and I think we'd all agree with that. Attorney Cosgrove has been our attorney for a long time. I'm satisfied with the services that he's provided, but I think that it would make sense for us to find out if he's able to come to a meeting and address the committee. The other, I guess, issue I have is that I'm not sure that the committee was ever made aware of this other counsel that was being utilized in special ed circumstances, and I'd like to make a request that we invite that counsel in, and if there's any agreements on file for either of those attorneys, that they be distributed to the committee, since they really are the legal counsel representing the school committee. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Mr. Matar. Just a word of caution before you invite an attorney in. He's not coming for free. We're paying him. And so, I mean, if something that we can handle over the phone or an email to come in for a meet and greet, I personally would not be in favor of paying someone probably upwards to $85 to $150 to come in and say hello.
Okay. Mr. Spitz?
My question kind of goes along with that. Does anyone know who is actually authorized to contact the lawyer in regards to the school committee? Because we really shouldn't just be picking up the phone, any of us, and just...
No.
Right.
Because every time that phone rings and every time he says hello, it costs us money.
Exactly.
I always thought it was the chair. It was supposed to be through the chair that we contacted a lawyer.
That is correct. It is through the chair, although Dr. Garceau does have the ability to contact him as well. To Mr. Coon's point, perhaps the most prudent course of action before we invite any attorneys in would be to review any contracts or agreements that we have on file for them. We can then, at that point, make a determination if we wish to put out I don't know if it would have to be a formal RFP or what the process is, but to see if we could investigate counsel. It doesn't mean that existing counsel wouldn't necessarily be the one retained, but I think it's part of our due diligence as a committee to make sure that we review those relationships on a regular basis. So if we could please, if you could search through the archives and see if we have any agreements in place with those. I believe Attorney Cosgrove has been around a long time. I don't know if we've ever reaffirmed any agreements with him, but if you can't find that information, I'll be happy to reach out to him and request it. Regarding the audits, the next thing there is that because we're a municipal school district, our auditing is really taking place through the town. So the town's auditors are the ones that audit our books. There may periodically be a need for outside audit services. Obviously, a transition audit would be a good time in which the school committee would hire an auditing firm. I think, we have a decision as a committee to make going forward, because right now, the way that it's in place, the town side is handling the cost of that, but they also get to choose who the firm is. So, it's already underway. I don't think it makes sense to try and make waves now, but, in the future, we may want to look at that, or perhaps we might want to have a policy regarding transition audits of our own. There are some accounts, like the student activities accounts, that may require the school district to bring in an outside auditor periodically. A student activity account with a maximum balance greater than $25,000 needs an outside audit every 3 years. So, and the school committee should make the hiring decision for those audits. So just, if we can make sure that our superintendent and business manager are informed of that, and if we have any need to have those student activities accounts monitored or audited, rather, that we do. Any questions from the committee regarding those items? I don't think we have anything that requires a vote. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we don't have any correspondence. We don't have any out-of-state field trip requests. So the next item will be retirements and resignations. Are you going to cover that, or would you like me to just read the names?
I don't know that you even need to. It's really just an FYI for the committee.
Thank you, Dr. Garceau. Anybody who is looking for that information, it's posted on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is information and proposals from our subcommittees. Mrs. Ennis, any policy subcommittee work?
We
Update?
have a lot of it. So we'll be starting, Mr. Spitz and I, we would invite any parents that are interested in going through policy with us. We'd love to have you, and we're still looking for an administrator and a couple of teachers.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. And anybody interested should contact me as soon as possible. My contact information is on the website under the school committee, and we will work on getting any new members added to the subcommittee at our next meeting. We also have Memorial Remembrances Subcommittee. Mr. Coonan, any updates?
We need to get together a date to meet.
Okay, thank you. From our superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, obviously, it's been somewhat of a somber mood in the room tonight, and some difficult conversations about a very challenging budget situation. But as I shared in an email with all staff today, we will work through this, and we will come out stronger for it. And I'm absolutely committed that we're going to have an outstanding 15-16 school year for the Oxford Public Schools. We're pirates, and we face challenges, and we work through them, and we continue to get stronger. So with that said, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to sing "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year," but people will remember that commercial. And it is for the parents who get to send their kids back to school, and they're already, some of them already mixing martinis, I'm sure. But for us, it's absolutely, it's why we do this, and it's really, really exciting to think about, like I said, those smiling faces pouring off the buses next Monday. So they will be here, and we will be here to greet them, and we'll be smiling on our side too. And it's absolutely going to be a great year next year. We made terrific gains in 14-15, and we are just getting started. So in terms of staffing, a couple of things I wanted to share. He just stepped out of the room, but we're very excited to be welcoming Scott Connery as the assistant principal at Oxford High School, joining Mr. Tebow. Mr. Nugent is going to be has already transitioned over to the director of coffee. We're going to be working to revitalize the coffee program, which is an excellent program and a perfect example of what we were talking about having programs in the community to meet the needs of our kids. Coffee was once an outstanding program that drew kids from surrounding communities, and it's soon going to be that again. Tuition-paying students coming to take part in an outstanding program. So between Mr. Nugent and Donna G., they're going to be working to strengthen that. Again, with Mr. Connery here, with Mr. Tebow, nothing but great things for Oxford High School this year. In what might soon be referred to as citywide as the Dream Team, we've got Mr. Canacchioli and Ms. Belhumer leading us at Oxford Middle School. Now that it's out there, they're going to torture you with that. But we're very, very excited about that pairing. New life, new energy, new excitement, new vitality to Oxford Middle, and it's going to be an outstanding year for them. One of the things that's going to make sure that that happens is we're going to also be seeing the reintroduction of art instruction at Oxford Middle. Criminal is a really touchy word to use tonight, but I feel it was criminal to have removed art from the program of studies, how many years ago that happened. And when I started here and heard that happened, I was nauseous, and I was committed to bringing that back. So art will be back in the middle school this year. We hired a very dynamic young teacher, Miss Carolyn Crutcher, who came right in and met up with the high school staff, and she's going to do an outstanding job, and we're very, very excited about that. We're going to continue to strengthen in all of our buildings, strengthen our academic offerings and the levels of support that we need to ensure that all students graduate Oxford High School, college, and career ready. We also look forward to the revitalization of our high school football program under the leadership of head coach Jeff Clarkson. The Pirates will face Prouty on, I believe the first game is Friday, 9/11, is that correct? First game, home game here on Friday, 9/11 at 7 p.m. We would love to see those stands full. We're hoping for good weather. We're hoping for an exciting start to a revitalized football program starting again on Friday the 9th, and we'll be sending out reminders about that. On the transportation front that has been touched on some, concerned parents should use either the Durham link that's linked to on our page if you have general concerns about any of those issues, or any specific requests, email Mr. Rich Doobie, and again, he's at rdube@oxps.org. He's our transportation coordinator, but we're going to be ready to rock and roll on Monday, and we're very, very excited. I can't wait. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Garceau, and now we'll hear from our school committee members. Mrs. Ennis?
I just have one thing, and again, I'm going to toot the horn of Oxford Public Schools. We have a 2009 graduate, her name is Katie Coonan, and her mother served 2 terms on the school committee with us, Laura Coonan. Katie is probably one of the sweetest, most down-to-earth, doesn't look for any attention, just a great kid. I'm sure there's a few in here that have had Katie. Katie was deployed to the Persian Gulf on USS McFaul in April. She's coming back a Lieutenant JG. I don't know what JG is, but that's what her mother told me. She served with ROTC, that's how she got her start. Now, Katie is so educated and so smart, she is studying to become a nuclear engineer. Do you know how many women are nuclear engineers? Not many.
I thought you were going to
many at
say the
all.
number for us. I
I
thought
don't
you
have the number,
researched
but
it.
there's not a lot. So as a woman, she's making great strides, which I think is terrific. And she will be soon working on an aircraft carrier. So that's an Oxford grad. That is, I hope someday, a graduation speaker. Katie is a terrific young lady, and we wish her all the best. She is home. She's on her way home. So she's on her way. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. Mr. Spitz?
I don't have anything tonight other than to wish everybody a great start to this year, and I think despite everything that we have to face this coming year, I really do have a lot of positives in my head that are going to happen. And so I wish everybody the best as they start this new year.
Thank you, Mr. Spitz. Mrs. Griffin?
I have to thank Commander Maisley and all the students from the Naval Junior ROTC. I had the pleasure of going with them on one of their events to Rhode Island, on the ship of the Aurora. It's yeah, I heard that you've gone several times. It was quite a treat, to say the least, and the students are absolutely fabulous kids. I can see why everybody is so proud. We really got wonderful cadets and teachers and staff and, community members that really support our students. So it was a treat to be with them. So that's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Griffin. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Ms. Matari. It has been a busy summer. You look at Twitter feeds, you look around the different buildings you go through. It's really been a buzz. It's about education, about getting our schools ready, from our students, our classrooms, our custodial staff, our secretaries, drivers, everyone, the teachers. A lot of them have been in. I've been in and around the schools, and I've seen the great work that's being done, and we've really positioned ourselves to open up school on Monday, so I wish everyone the best with that. And secondly, speaking of congratulations, a graduate from Oxford High School class of 1984 was recently inducted into the New England Basketball Hall of Fame. So I send my congratulations out to many of you may know Matt Morway. He's the voice of the radio for many of the sports, and I would ask this committee to send him a letter congratulating him and to continue promoting Oxford High School as he does such a fine job doing.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan, and I do have a few remarks this evening, although I think I've done enough talking for one night. My first comment is to the kids at home. You have 1 week left to finish your summer reading. Don't wait till Sunday night. Don't do that to your parents. Go to bed early Sunday night, get up in the morning, have a good breakfast, and start the school year on a positive note. I'm sure you have a lot to look forward to on Monday, and I know it's going to be the beginning of a great year. And, you know, there's a lot of, somberness in the air tonight about our budget crisis. I ask you all to please try not to let that show at home. Be excited for those kids. They're really looking forward to it, most of them. And, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up. Open house is this week, I believe, at the elementary schools on Thursday. I know I'll be there for my daughters, so I'm really excited about that. There was an article in the Telegram and Gazette, not the one that we've already talked about, another one. I think it was in yesterday's, but I'm not sure because I saw it online. And it talked about how the position of superintendent is becoming increasingly difficult to fill. And I don't know if anybody in here saw it, but
I saw it.
it was talking about all of the responsibilities that fall on the role of superintendent. And I just wanted to take this moment to thank our superintendent because, believe it or not, we are a pretty demanding committee when it comes to asking him questions and for information. And he almost always emails back immediately, like in all hours of the night. It's kind of scary. I don't know if he lives with his phone in his hand, but he's really, he's not without fault, but he's really done an amazing job for us. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Duff.
I also wanted to address a couple of other matters in which I have been contacted. A parent did reach out to me regarding some images that were on a professional person's website that were taken at a school event. I have made Dr. Garceau aware of that situation just prior to the meeting, and that is not a standard practice in the district, and we will be addressing that going forward. And then lastly, a lot of buzz on the web about our website. I'd like to thank Mr. Phillips for all his work and his staff for, we've converted over, or in the process of converting over, from our Fusion pages to Google Sites. It's not without some pains, but it is saving the district money. I think we said, around $5,000 or $6,000. 13,000, even better. So we are exploring every possible avenue to save money so that we can keep people in front of the classroom. And I thank everybody for that. I thank people for their patience while we're getting the website kinks worked out. If you have any issues or comments about the website, please contact Mr. Phillips's office. I know one parent had reached out to me because some of the links were getting blocked on their company's website because it was on a Google Drive. So he's working to try and put the links in there a different way. But please, if he doesn't know about the feedback, then there's no way to fix it. So keep it coming. We also the committee's contact information did not convert over properly when we went to this new site, so I did ask Mr. Phillips to update our page to include our email addresses. I wasn't sure what other contact information committee members wanted on the website. I'd ask you to please send an email to Mr. Phillips if you want to add a phone number or anything to that nature on there. And I think that's it. That's all I have for this evening. The next item on our agenda is future business, topics for future agenda. So I do have trying to contact our delegation, some information regarding the bonding of our admins, and then agreements with legal services. Did any committee members have any other requests for future meeting agenda items? Okay. Then at this point, it's our questions and comments from the floor. So the opportunity to address the committee, again, is not a question and answer session. It is an opportunity for statements to be made. The chair may direct a member or the superintendent to respond to a question or issue, but normally we will not. Topics for discussion must be limited to those items listed on the school committee meeting agenda for this evening. If you wish to speak, please come forward and state your name. All remarks are to be addressed through the chair. In a public session, the committee will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor against any members of the school community. Please do not reveal any confidential information regarding a student, and in the interest of time, we ask that you please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve D'Amico, SEIU Local 888. We represent the custodians, cafeteria workers, clerical workers, teaching assistants, and instructional assistants. And just a couple of quick comments. These are difficult times. We recognize that. A number of our members are here tonight. If maybe they could stand up, people from SEIU. So we would ask, there was some discussion earlier tonight, and we would ask that concerning looking at the budget, looking at it carefully, and the discussion led to, yeah, we're going to do that for next year. What we would ask you to do is look at the budget, look at this year's budget, and see if there's anything you can do to prioritize that money and put it towards some of these people who are laid off, or are about to be laid off. 2 years ago, there was sort of a fight to turn this district around. Goes back longer than that, but there was a commitment made for more personalized instructions, more intensified instructions. We hired a number of teaching assistants, and I think you're seeing the results of that now. That intensified personal hands-on instruction, you've begun to close the achievement gap, and you're moving in the right direction. Test scores are up. We're laying off at least 10 of those people this year. You're in danger of backsliding. We need to figure out a way to bring them back. We need to figure out a way to look for savings in this year's budget, not wait till next year. The other thing is our custodial staff. We're looking at cutting the custodial staff to catastrophic levels. At the middle school, we're talking about having only 2 custodians, one during the day and one at night. That's 100,000 square feet. In the high school, it's even worse. It's 210,190 square feet. There'll be 1 custodian on during the day, 1 custodian on at night. Take a good look around at your schools now. You will not see them clean like they are when school opens. By December, they're going to look very, very different. And I think you need to look at this year's budget, look for any savings, anything you can live without to bring some of these people back, because these cuts are not sustainable.
Thank you, sir. We will take your comments under advisement. We have any other members from the community that wish to address the committee? Wow, lots of faces in here. I thought we were going to be here a while. Okay, at this time, then, I will close the floor. Next item on our agenda is a request for executive session. A request will be made to enter into executive session according to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21, Subsection 3, for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do. I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session, after which time we will leave executive session only for the purposes of adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Ennis?
Yes.
Mr. Spitz? Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Coonan?
Yes.
And Mr. Bitar is a yes. I'd like to ask that the room be cleared. Thank you all for coming out this evening.
Chairman,